Welcome to Light It Up, a podcast that discusses situations and topics from a godly perspective. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Light It Up podcast. I am Camilla Spradley, and as always, I'm happy to be here with you today. This is episode 8. If this is your first time joining the podcast, welcome. Hey, how you doing? If this is not your first time, welcome back. It is good to have you. As I said, this is episode 8, and the title of it is Open Heaven, and I cannot wait to get into it with y'all today. But before we get into it, we got to back it back and talk about episode 7, which really discussed the power of our words. So my prayer is that we're coming to learn the importance of our words and that we are only speaking what's good, what's worthy of speaking into our atmosphere, because we know that it creates our realities. All right. So watch your mouth, and I'm going to watch mine too. All right. That the topic kind of ties in a little bit to what we're talking about today, but let's get into it. It is called Open Heaven, and we're really discussing living in the favor of God, okay? Since we last spoke, I had a birthday. July 19th passed, and I am now 31 years old. I have made it to level 31 of life, okay? And in the weeks and months leading up to my birthday, I heard God speak a word to me concerning truly living life, not being afraid to do what you want when you want to do it, and just living out the life that you truly want to live. Okay. So that being said, I decided in May, I believe, that I wanted to get my second holes in my ear. And I wanted to get the top of my ear pierced. It's called like a helix piercing, right? And if you know anything about me, needles, pain, we don't mix, we don't work, no shape, form, or fashion. So me getting my ears pierced is a big deal, okay? I didn't get my first these holes, until I was 12 years old. And even though I wanted my second holes and I wanted my ears pierced up top, I never thought I would have gone through with it because pain, okay? But one of my friends, when I told her, she did not really focus on my fears. She didn't focus on what could go wrong. She immediately, when I told her, she was like, hey, I was thinking about getting mine pierced too. So let's schedule a date. Y'all, she scheduled the date out and everything. And I was like, oh, you're taking me too fast. But long story short, I'm thankful for her. We got our ears pierced together. I got my second holes and my helix done at the same time. And that, I know it might seem small to other people, but it was very big to me because it meant me overcoming my fear for something that I truly wanted, and something that was that allowed me to live a life and do something that I wanted in my life to make me happy. And through that experience, God was teaching me about just living your life. Yes, we are spiritual beings, but we still have an earthly experience, and you need to do things that's going to make your earthly experience enjoyable, despite the fear that you might have. All right. So that happened. We got our ears pierced June 12th. And leading up to my birthday, I kept hearing something connected to a song that I've heard. It's by Miranda Curtis. It's called Open Heaven. All right. It's on her album called Open Heaven. And if you have not listened to that album, go ahead, do yourself a favor, listen to the whole album. Okay. You know, a gospel album is good when it has reprises of virtually every song. And this song, Open Heaven actually has a prologue or something, prelude. Lord, I need to figure out what the word is. Anyway, it's a speaking piece before the actual Open Heaven song. And through that song, God was teaching me that this is a season of my life that I am stepping into favor, where what I ask, my prayers will be answered. Anything that my heart is desiring, if it's lined up with his will, it will happen. It's a season of special favor for me coming into this 31st year of life. And I was excited because I know for a fact that it was God. And I know that I heard him say, and I was excited, like this is going to be my year. Things that I have wanted, they're going to come to pass. And I know that I'm living in a season of favor. It's a window of favor. And I was thanking God for it, right? And I was very excited when I got this word. That being said, weeks leading up to my birthday, my now 5-year-old, my oldest child got sick. She was out with a fever for a week. For a week, I could not get her fever to break. So we were at home taking care of her, doing what we needed to do for her. Then the week before my birthday, I was sick pretty much all week with awful like a sinus pressure. And if you have problems with your sinuses, you already know, like it felt like my head was between four walls, and anytime I bent down, the pressure was there, and it was just a whole lot. My whole body seemed to be aching. So I was sick, and then even when I started to get maybe a little better, then my husband got sick. Then our youngest got sick. And after that, when we were feeling better, people in my family were getting sick. And two particular members of my family, I'm not going to divulge all the details now because it's still raw. It's still happening. They were experiencing pain like they've never experienced it before. They were in the hospital, just trying to get the pain managed and really struggling. And in the midst of all this, I'm reminded of what God told me about being under an open heaven in a season of favor. And I was utterly confused. I'm like, this doesn't feel like an open heaven, Jesus. It's feeling real close heavenish. You know, I'm not trying to tell you how to be God, but this don't feel right. Because right when I got the word that I'm going to experience a season of favor and a season of an open heaven, that's when things started going downhill. It was just weird. That's the only way I can explain it. Just thing after thing after thing started to happen, specifically dealing with sickness in my family. So I talked to God, I'm like, I don't understand it. And through that, he basically told me that my favor, God's favor, does not negate life's circumstances, but it does dictate how those circumstances affect you. And it does guarantee you that you will not be taken over by life circumstances, right? God's favor does not mean that you're not going to go through the fire. It means that the fire will not burn you. You won't be utterly consumed by the fire. And the fire is ultimately, it's necessary so you can see the favor of God on your life. If your life is good, all sunshine and rainbows all the time, how do you really know that God's hand is on you? So he taught me through this that ultimately, yes, you are still under an open heaven, meaning that whatever you ask for, if it's lined up with my will, I will grant that to you. This is your season to ask what you will in faith. Open up your mouth and speak to me, and I will grant that for you. And along with that, you're going to have trials. You're going to have situations that are difficult to bear. However, use your mouth and use your praise to liberate your own self, to take the shackles off of yourself. Now is the time that whatever you want, whatever you see is wrong in your family, whatever you see is wrong with your body, whatever you see is wrong with your mind, now is the time that you can speak a thing to me and I will correct it. And then it made so much sense to me that even though I'm in a season of favor, the trials are not going to stop. Even though I'm in a season of favor, that means that trials may come more than they would in a different season. And once I got that, it just made sense. And I started to pray over my family members that are sick, because I realized that even though they are going through this thing, even though I see it, that is not the reality for them. the reality for them is healing. The reality for them is good health. The reality for them is an expected healthy outcome, period. That's it. There is no room for any doubt. There's no room for any negative thoughts. There's no room for any other way to think. So what I have been having to do in this very short season I've been in so far is to, when the thoughts come in my mind, immediately tell them no. Because y'all, sometimes it be your own mind. It be your own thoughts that will betray you. It's your own, so it's not always the enemy putting thoughts in your mind. Sometimes it's just you. So I've had to tell myself, no, we are not thinking like this today. Not now. I am speaking back health. I am speaking back healing. I'm speaking back recovery. Everything is as it will be. Everything is as it should. This is what I'm asking you for, God, and I expect you to answer my prayer. Okay? I usually announce story time. I didn't announce story time, y'all. At the beginning, the story time was my ear piercing, y'all. And I feel it should have been a little more in detail. I could have told y'all about, how much I was stressing out about this piercing, how many times I told the lady, wait, not yet, how many times it was just foolishness. But at the end of the day, I got it done. That was my story time. But tying those two stories together, what I realized is even through trials, even through difficult times, even when it seems like things are falling apart, this is still the season to live. This is still the season to do what brings you joy. This is still the season to dance, realizing that despite what life may throw at me, I still have God's favor. I'm still God's daughter. I can still see a thing on earth and ask my daddy to fix it in heaven, and it's going to come right on down. This situation will be rectified on earth. We cannot allow situations to dictate our joy. And even though my family members are still hurting and struggling right now, I'm not going to sit in that. I'm going to fix my mind on what is in the spiritual realm and pray until it manifests. And it's already manifesting for particularly one family member in particular. And again, I don't want to get into details or specifics because it's still going on and I don't feel released to share this story yet. But just know it's already getting better. And my prayer and my hope and what I'm speaking is that it will continue to get better. And even though this particular family member had to go through this fire, they are not going to be burned. They're going to come out even better than before. All right? So the focus of this episode is really knowing how to live under an open heaven and realizing that you still have the favor of God on you, even when you are struggling, even when it's seemingly falling apart, even when things just seem to be coming one after the other. It's important to realize that life is still going to life. Life is still going to happen. But you have within you and your connection with God the ability to speak a thing as though it were and watch it come to pass. You have the ability to speak God's word on a situation and watch it turn into the very thing that you say. All right. In the word, it says heaven and earth shall pass away, but his word will remain the same. His word will not return unto him void. So we have the power to, despite what's going on, knowing that we are under an open heaven, that we can use the favor that we have to turn a situation. But we have to make sure that we're speaking the right things. And I think that's how last episode and this episode is connected. That's how they're connected, is making sure that we are only focusing on what is good, what is holy, what is righteous, what is of good report, only focusing on those things and only speaking those things and making sure that we are opening up our mouths to speak them. I can be honest, that Miranda Curtis album, Open Heaven, that song and the speaking part before it, I usually skipped. And if I'm being honest with myself, I skipped it because I don't think I truly believed it. So when I played it, it just kind of felt false for me. And I never really wanted to play it and dwell in it. But God is telling me you need to be playing that song. You need to listen to that song. In the song, I wrote a couple of things down, and it talked about just making sure that you, let me find it. Just making sure that you know that the enemy seeks to change our reality of how we view a thing. The enemy seeks to change our circumstances so we can forget who we are, so we can forget that we are the righteousness of God. And we cannot allow circumstances to take our mind off of what God has told us, because it's the very thing that he told us that we need to speak back to him in order to change things. So our words, again, they matter. And I encourage you, if you have not listened to the whole album, listen to the whole album, Open Heaven. And definitely on that album, listen to the song, Open Heaven, as well as the words that's spoken before it. All right. That is the end of that was a long story time. It wasn't even, I don't even know where story time began and where the life application began. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right. The point is, I want to encourage whoever is listening or watching that these trials, the problems that you're going through right now, that does not negate the favor of God. You command your own thoughts, any negative thoughts, to flee, and you speak what God says, because you have the power of God, because you are working in favor. Even when it doesn't seem like it, it can turn around for you. And you have to believe that in your heart and then speak it. All right. So that being said, let's move on to our light work. Our light work is simply to take command of your own thoughts. See what you see in your environment. Know your situation, but don't internalize it, as difficult as that may be. Take command of your own thoughts and tell them no. And after you tell them no, you are going to replace them with the word of God, and you are going to start speaking the word of God over every situation, good or bad. Speak what God would have you to speak over that situation, because our words matter, and you are working with the favor of heaven, the favor of God. We are under a tremendous amount of favor. And if you have that word as well, if God has spoken that word over you, then this is confirmation, and we're going to run with it together. All right. I'm so excited about this 31 years of life. I am embracing the favor, and I'm also embracing the trials. I'm also embracing the difficulty that I know is going to come. And that's something big for me to say, because I run from pain. And I think that, I guess it's natural too. There's a word in a Jonathan McReynolds song called Maintain. And he says, you gave me all the weapons, but it's still a fight. Sometimes I don't want it to be a fight. I don't want to have to take up a weapon. I just want it to be easy sailing, right? Like, what is life if I got to fight all the time? But the point is, we have the weapons, and I am looking forward to using my words, my prayer, my praise as a weapon in this season. And I'm looking forward to the favor and the potential of this season, the incredible room for progress and growth, and tearing down giants and strongholds in this season that God has blessed me with. I think this was one of the best birthday gifts. And that being said, we have our light work. It says, take command of your thoughts, tell your thoughts no, and then speak what you want and receive only the good. Anything that is not of God, throw it back out. Okay? And cling to, and I can't say this enough, speak it in the atmosphere, what you desire. Speak the word into the atmosphere. All right, y'all. That is it. I enjoyed recording this and being with y'all here today. If you are listening to this on a podcasting platform, please like or subscribe. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, hey, subscribe as well. And that's it for today. I hope y'all have a blessed rest of the week, and I will see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.